Thank you very much indeed for joining this WPP BAV 11/11 Insight series. My name is David Roth from WPP, and in this edition of our Insights from 11/11 2022, we'll be exploring elements around the luxury category. And there's absolutely no better person to join us than Janet Wang, who is the Vice President of B2C Retail Business Group of Alibaba Group and also the General Manager of Tmall Luxury. Janet, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for having me, David.
Well, Janet, let's start at the very beginning, which is you've been involved in the luxury business for quite some time. You've got a unique perspective on how luxury has evolved and changed in China over the course of the last few years. Perhaps you can give us your perspective.
Sure. So when you look at the Chinese luxury sector, I think there are several important backgrounds to consider. First, by 2025, China is on track to be the world's largest personal luxury consumption market. And then in these markets, a majority of customers in the sectors are from the generations who grew up with the internet and are very savvy and knowledgeable about technology and luxuries. Secondly, millennials and Gen Zs are the driving force behind these digital accelerations. And Tmall Luxury has had comprised 75% of our customers from the millennials, while Generation Zs has the fastest growth cohort on our platform. So second, we all acknowledge that pandemic has changed luxury brands' views, incorporating digital into their overall brand building strategies. So under the pandemic, the brands has developed very closely with luxury pavilions, some of the forefront technology to enhance customer experience, for examples, like streamings from physical shops or a fashion show or events, high-end exhibitions, or one-on-one video customer service through video formats. And then, of course, there are also new formats such as 3D product displays, AR try-on, or even very newly developed post-care digitalized service. So all of this has helped the consumers to better embrace digital consumptions that fundamentally change how they shop luxuries going forward for permanent. And then the result out of this is that we see very rapid growth on the online e-commerce in luxury sectors since the pandemic. In the case of Tmall Luxuries from 2020 to 2021, we grew 300% in our sales and about 150 in our customer base. And then many of the brands has also doubling their online penetrations. And last, China is a very fast evolved market in luxury sector, even more so. And we do believe that China will continue to lead the growth going forward.
Now, you've created the Tmall Luxury Pavilion. Perhaps you can explain a little bit about exactly what it is and how it works, Janet.
Of course. Tmall Luxury sits within Tmall, is the online destination where Chinese consumers from all over China can come to see, interact, and purchase nearly 200 top luxury brands. Tmall Luxury Pavilion is also the first platform that has official partnerships with 5 major luxury groups, naming Chanel, Hermes, LVMH, Richemont, and also Kering. And just in 2022, we also have recently welcomed new brands, including Bulgari, Berluti, Brunello Cucinelli, Moncler, and Geo Center.
Well, Janet, 11/11 has just finished a few days ago. What were the key opportunities for luxury brands in this year's 11/11?
So 11/11 has evolved from a more discount-driven promotional event into a great opportunity for brands to engage to new users and also grow and cultivate their customer fan base. So that's why we see more and more brands in the luxury sectors have embraced 11.11s. This year, we have about 200 brands that launch about 100,000 new products across all different product categories, from handbags to apparels to watch and jewelries or even home decorations. So this is also a very important window for brands to present some of the very advanced technologies that have developed to better engage customers, such as advanced 3D product displays or digital collectibles, or even virtual influencers that can represent their new product or collections. All of these to enhance to enhance and also to strengthen all the brand's awareness and interest in the market to all customers.
Now, within the build up to 11.11, what sort of trends did you observe in the fashion beauty categories? And how did that manifest itself throughout the 11.11?
So in this past year, we have seen the rising trend of gifting, either gifting to others or self-gifting in our platforms. So this gifting trend has also shown that customers are looking for more value preserving in high-price items in watch and jewelry categories. We also see that pandemics that has already changed consumers' pursuits into higher living qualities that reflects into their interest in home-related categories such as tablewares or even home decorations. And then many of them also start buying more outdoor luxuries outerwears. And then another growing trend we see here is that consumers has grown more consciousness into grain consumption. In the example of our partnership with Stella McCartney to launch a recycled material tote bag has been also very well perceived by the customers. Another overall trend that we see from the consumer sector is that females still are dominating. They continue their spending in apparels and handbags. And then we also see customers beyond first tier city in the case of tier 2 to tier 3s have become the driving force in growing the overall business volumes. And then we also see the shares of customers at age between 25 to 29 increased compared to the same time last year's. And then all of these customers are also very savvy, are very good at budgeting. So they would also claim all these special member privilege provided by the brands, or they also, use free interest installment as their new payment method. And then, of course, they also like all the giveaways purchased on this luxury shopping.
So brands shouldn't just look at the tier 1 or 2 tier cities anymore for growth in the luxury sector.
Right, exactly. This is where the potential of Chinese luxury markets, I think, not just only now, but also going forward. We see that in a country, in a market in these scales, still a lot of customers in second tier cities and beyond are start getting more interest and demands to luxury products. And then, of course, they will start with more of the general product categories, such as handbag, but we'll also see them quickly grow their spending into multiple categories, such as jewelries, footwears, or home categories, like I mentioned earlier.
Now, these were, I suppose, the overall trends. What about the strategies? What are you seeing over the course of the build-up to 11.11 and during 11.11 in terms of some of the strategies that some of the luxury brands have been adopting? What's caught your eye? What do you think works?
So, like I said earlier, 11.11 provides brands a great opportunity to build relationship with new customers or existing customers, no matter it is for all the customers on our platform or more targeted customer profiles. And then some of the strategies we see work very well for this 11.11 among luxury brands includes using this opportunity to launch new products and new collections. For example, Balenciaga used this opportunity to launch their crossover with Adidas, or IWC used this opportunity to launch Portuguese new model dedicated for the Year of Rabbits that would happen early next Chinese New Year. And the second
So getting in early for Chinese New Year in January, February.
Absolutely. And we saw the response was very, very positive. All the new limited rabbit year collections have been sold out at the first moment. And then the second trend we observe here that worked very well in the strategy is that the brands, instead of offering direct discounts, they offer more engaging membership privilege that would, that would probably be channeled through some of the more private channels, through private live streams. And then the third strategy also worked very well is to really adapt into these new technology formats to better present their products. For example, I mentioned that we have upgraded our 3D product display, applying to the case of Vacheron Constantin, very highly complicated mechanical watches that have very beautiful displays that customers can interact and try on. And then we have also launched our very own virtual influencer called Tmall, that he represent the fittings of some of the apparel brands' new collections, such as Coach or Moncler's. And then last, I think it's more of a behind the scene that the brands utilize this 11.11 as an opportunity to strategize based on the consumer data insights they accumulated at this point, so that they can develop their more longer term plans for after 11.11.
Now, one of the things that we've heard and observed this year in particular during 11.11 is the way in which it's being used in order to grow and develop customer loyalty. What in the luxury space have brands been doing in order to help meet this trend?
So, like I said earlier, that Tmall Luxury has worked with the brands to develop their member base on the platform, and then to give a very different customer experience to all the members. Some of the brands have incorporated into private member-only live streamings, for example, private sales events. And then some of the brands that have also use memberships as a hook to make consumers to have the priority access to some of the very limited items, so that they can reserve and also pay later. So all of these are some of the very alternative formats of memberships benefit and privilege.
Now, you've talked a little bit about the way in which the luxury brands were adopting some of the new technologies that you're developing on the platform. I'm very curious about luxury brands were amazingly slow to embrace the internet, and yet they seem to be the first movers into the, call it what you like, let's call it the Metaverse type activities. Why do you think this is?
I think one of the very important DNAs from luxury is about storytelling, and then Metaverse is a new technology format that provide customers immersive experience beyond just the purchase. So the Metaverse gives consumer and the brands more interactions, and then also the millennials and Gen Zs live their lives in this part of new technology environment. So to them, this is a very easy entrance to get understanding more about luxury brands and their luxury products. One thing worth mentioning is that the metaverse in China has a very different ecosystem that the brands should really consider a very different metaverse strategies for China.
And what is that ecosystem? How can brands tap into that larger ecosystem?
So to us, I think the metaverse in China is a broad definition with all the new technologies composed of blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, and then AR, VR, 3Ds, and the meta-humans. So all the technology should be part of vehicles or elements that the brands adapt to better tell the story rather than treat it as a transactional base or speculations in the market.
Now, you have been at the forefront of developing some of these new cutting edge digital technologies, metaverse experiences, and you've touched upon a few of them. Could you just give us a little bit more sort of colour and texture to what opportunities there now exist on the platform in this space? And where do you think the space is going in the future?
So Tmall Luxury has very early on start incorporating and developing many cutting edge technologies into our overall customer experience. At the last 11/11, Tmall Luxury was the first platform in China to work with multiple luxury brands to launch digital collectibles. And then also on top of the digital collectibles we released, we have had also increased the 3D product offering, set up 3D product displays, AR try-on, VR try-ons on our platform. And then involving into these 11/11s, we create our virtual influencer Tmall to curate an online art gallery to guide customers to see all these past digital collectibles. We work with nearly 30 brands in this 1 year, one year over time. And then these 30 brands collaborations reflected into 60 pieces of digital collectibles. And behind it, there were about 40,000 units have already been collected by the luxury shoppers and the fans. So all these innovations we have developed that has received very positive response from social media. In this case, Tmall, that really speaks to the Gen Z of Chinese customers has been very well perceived.
Now, Janet, it's one thing developing the technology, it's another thing consumers using it. So, what feedback have you had so far from consumers?
So we have seen how customers have embraced all this new format of displaying products and these technologies. That we see the time spent on the product with AR try-on or 3Ds are double than a standard photo image. And we also see consumers have participated in collecting and rushing into collecting the digital collectibles we work to develop with luxury brands.
There's always a balance, I suppose, in the way in which the luxury market communicates with consumers in terms of its brand building and clearly generating sales. To what extent are we seeing luxury brands experimentation in this digital metaverse space being more on the brand building, or is it more on the sales generation?
We believe that metaverse shouldn't be just a buzzword. We actually try to incorporate all this metaverse new technology into the overall consumer journeys, right? So before customer make the purchase decisions, they have been immersed into this new way of product displays or engagings, and post the purchase behaviors, that ownership of that metaverse experience also can reveal certain privilege. So we always try to combine it from marketing to the commercials.
Now, Janet, this has been a fascinating conversation. I can't let you go, given the breadth and the depth of the experience that you've got in the luxury sector, without asking you to look into your crystal ball in terms of the future. Looking forward, maybe, I don't know, the next 5 years, although in China, with China speed, the next 5 years is like 35 years to other countries. But let's look at the next 5 years in China. Where do you think the luxury sector is heading? And where do you think the luxury consumer is heading?
So we see continuous interest and demands from Chinese consumers toward luxury products and luxury brands. In the recent report from consulting firm Roland Berger, that the social consumptions would experience a short-term decline, followed by long-term improvement post-pandemic eras. And we see the customer base, as I mentioned earlier, beyond first-tier city, falling in second-tier city, third-tier cities, and then a large amount of Gen Zs have very strong backbone to drive the future growth of luxuries. And then for Tmall Luxuries, we also continue to dedicate our efforts to stay at the forefront of all these innovations, so that we can help the brands together to create the best luxury experience, digital experience.
Well, Janet, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. And we very much look forward to another year of interest, developments, in terms of luxury consumers in China and technology. Janet Wang, the Vice President of Alibaba, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you again, David.